right, moms out there watching here in the audience, anybody feeling burned out? A little burned out? You are not alone. A survey by the Canadian Women's Foundation found that nearly half, or 47% of moms are feeling burnt out. And 2/3 say that they are concerned about their physical health and their emotional well-being.
Yeah, and we need to try to change that. So here with some tips to help us deal with mom burnout, or better yet, avoid it altogether, is social worker and psychotherapist Tiffany Lewis. Welcome to the show, Tiffany.
Thank you. Welcome. You know, we talk a lot on the show about like workplace burnout, but you're seeing a lot of mothers coming into your practice saying like, I'm burned out. So what is the difference specifically that makes mom burnout something unique?
Yes, so mom burnout is parenting, right? Like it's us parenting our children, and it's that physical, emotional, mental exhaustion that is accompanied with the burnout, right? And since it's so like multi-dimensional of a burnout, that puts us at even greater risk for anxiety and depression, right? Like and other mental health issues. And this affects moms at any stage. It isn't just the baby stage, it's every stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the specific causes, would you say, or are there some specific causes for burnout, or is it unique to the individual?
So I think both. But when you're looking at like the causes of burnout, and I think a lot of us can agree with it, there's the physical burnout. So we talk about the little ones again, right? So there's like such a physical demand on us to kind of run around with them, take them to appointments, we're carrying them, we're feeding them, we're changing their diapers, we're trying to put them to bed. Like there's a physicality to it. When you think emotionally, obviously that's across the stages, but like let's look at teens. Let's just have a 16-year-old, let's look at teens. They're learning about themselves, right? So they have a lot more awareness about how they feel. They're asking a lot of questions. Maybe like decision making is a little in its primary stages, right?
Yeah.
So there's that emotional piece of it too. Then you just think mental, like how many lists on our own without being parents do we have in our minds all the time? Like just a running list. Add parenting to it. Then add for those families who have children who have disabilities, socioeconomic status, like low socioeconomic status, or like newcomers to Canada who have children and they're trying to access services. Like it's environmental.
Single
and it's
parents as well.
Absolutely, right? So there's across the board, like it might be different for all of us, but we all feel it. We all.
So, you know, people are feeling seen and heard by you right now, but let's talk about some of the symptoms. How is this manifesting in life?
So there's a lot of symptoms. One of the first ones, and I see this with my clients when they come in, is exhaustion. Right? The physical and mental exhaustion. And I'm sure we can add a lot more other things to this list, but there's that self-neglect, we can't regulate our emotions. Think of emotional depletion, right? There's that, I don't know what I feel, I'm not sure how I feel, but then there's lots of crying. Maybe we're feeling really angry, wanting to be away from our children, and like the mom guilt. Right? There's nodding. Mom guilt. Mom guilt is such a big one.
Let's unpack that a little bit, that mom guilt term, because I think that is definitely something that a lot of women identify with.
Yeah. So, mom guilt. So it's that culturally constructed idea that we're supposed to be this perfect mom. And I think like once the baby comes into the world, we're supposed to have that downloaded automatically. Like we're supposed to say yes to everything. We're supposed to be able to cook everything, do everything, balance everything, take them everywhere, smile all the time, not have feelings. It's that. And so we're essentially working against an ideal that's been set for us already. So that's kind of like what makes that burnout like a little bit extra painful, is now we're feeling like we're not hitting someone else's standard, right? And it's hard to say no when we have that.
Yeah, so how do we turn that off?
I feel like turning it off is hard. No, I'm sure people here will be like, I can't really turn it off. But it's a conscious effort, right? It's like allowing ourselves to say no. It's allowing ourselves to have a moment for ourselves. It's like allowance. And so like when we're intentional about what we're doing with our time, or if we're noticing like, oh, I think I'm hitting my limit for the day. Hit your limit and stop. So it's a conscious effort. We don't get it all the time, but if we can slow it down.
Yeah. So listen, if this goes unchecked, like, you know, a lot of us will just push through. We are feeling not great on all of these levels. So let's say we're not listening to the stop signs and we keep pushing through. How bad can it actually get for somebody in burnout?
So it gets pretty bad. Right? At the very beginning, if you think about it, like we're just at a risk of like not being able to be at work, right? If we're not able to be at work, then we're not meeting that need, right, of our family. But if you think about any mental health that goes unchecked, especially mom burnout, we're looking at, again, depression and anxiety. physically, we're also looking at headaches. We're not sleeping very well. We're nauseous. Maybe we have some gastrointestinal issues happening, right? Like there's physical impacts of burnout. I think also too, one of the things that's really important to consider is coping. So if we're not coping well, because we've hit that already, we're at an increased risk of also like substance use and alcohol use as well. Our children suffer immensely from us not treating our mental health, especially when we're hitting those limits. And so they're at risk of abuse and neglect. And I have to circle back into those like minority populations, the populations of people who have children with disabilities or low socioeconomic status, like they can't access these things as easily as some of us can. And so they're at this added risk of all the things that I listed, of just like at a higher risk. And so it's detrimental for us that at the first sign, we kind of try to take care of that.
Yeah, I still often say when mom's not okay, the whole family's not okay.
1000%.
But if mom's okay, everyone's gonna do better. Let's talk about other ways that we can avoid burnout in the first place or work through when we really feel like maybe it's starting to set in.
So like therapy. Therapy would be a great one. If we're not in therapy, let's go to therapy. Let's go to therapy. Because at the very best, you have somebody that's gonna validate your feelings. We need that, right? So tap into those social supports. Use your partner too. Like it's okay to go to our partner and say like, I really need support. I'm gonna really need you to take these things on. I think also too, we talked about this earlier, just drop the ball. Like not everything has to be done all the time and all at once. There's always something, your list will never end. Be realistic with that too, right?
Yeah.
I think those are some of the ways that we can kind of normalize pushing back the burnout a bit. Like we're just gonna have to use our social supports.
And we're talking about mom burnout today, but the truth is this is actually lead parenting burnout. And most often that falls on moms. So I don't want to make this into a heterosexual kind of context or just a gendered thing, but like whoever is not the lead parent, the partner, how can they help?
So I love this question because I think it's the self-awareness piece. So whoever's not the lead parent and you're listening today, go ahead and take the lead. Approach your partner. Use that self-awareness, right? Use that empathy and just take a look at them and say, like, what can I do to help? Is there anything I can do that makes your day easier? It's not about, it's about supporting them, right? So that's one thing. I always encourage my clients in therapy, whether that's couples or individuals, sit down at the beginning or the end of your week, whatever works, and plan it out. No surprises. So every single week, make this a habit. It's a healthy habit. Connect with your partners, connect with each other. And if we, as the default parent, need to offload, this is a great way to do it on equal ground. Like we're not yelling at each other. We're not like, you have no idea. We're sitting down and we're kind of working through it together. So
that's great.
Love that. Tiffany, so much food for thought and takeaways that people can use today. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.